Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing okay in these pretty difficult times. The reason that we're indoors today, which is very strange, today's video was originally recorded about a month ago, so in the middle of December, and it was meant to come out just after Christmas, had it all planned, but for various reasons, it's been a difficult time recently and it didn't come to fruition, the plans all went awry. I've not been down the plot recording much other stuff. I have been down there, it's all still okay. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of put this new intro in because one, the old one made no sense, and two, just to kind of let you know things are okay, the plot's doing okay. I'm hoping next week we'll get out and just do a little walkabout. I'll just ramble and talk to myself and show you what's going on. But with that said, today we're going to be looking at this mess that you see right over there. Next to the apple trees, just down to the right of those, there are a kind of mess of brambles and blackberries. So let's go have a look at them and hopefully we can sort them out. Okay, so quick disclaimer, I am by no means an expert on this and this isn't really a how-to video. I'm going to try and go over the basics, but if you're really after a how-to video, there are hundreds of other videos on this subject by people with far more expertise than me. But that said, if you do want to stick around, like I say, I am going to go over the basics. But if I make any mistakes or give any really bad advice, please do comment below so that other people don't make the same mistakes. So this is our growing area. It's a little bit strange. It's in a bit of a strange place. This part that you see in the foreground is all my next door neighbours, and this is the kind of southern end of my plot, the southern edge. Now, we've got one blackberry bush that's still alive, and that's all that we've got to work with. And this was here when we took the plot on. It's been here for God knows how many years, and it's been left to grow unattended for God knows how many years. It's going in all sorts of directions. We've got it coming this way, back into the apple trees, and over that way as well. So not good. In terms of aspect, it is a good place though, because as we go east to west, these get full sun if they're along here, which is really good for the berries. They need lots of sun to ripen and become properly sweet. Now you can see we've got the one plant there, and we've got a dead plant there, a gap here, and then another dead plant. So what I would like in time is to probably fill this with, let's say, 3 plants, 3 blackberry bushes. So first task is to prune this back, get it a lot healthier, and then second task is to think about propagation. Wrong time of year, but start to think about propagation and getting some fruit bushes along here to fill out the gaps. So with that said, let's talk about pruning. Okay, so starting with the very basics of blackberries, it's really important to know that the fruit only grows on second year growth. So one of these canes will shoot up in summer, but it will only have vegetation on it. It will only have leaves. It won't set any fruit until its second year. And after the second year, into the third and the fourth, it starts to die back. It won't produce any fruit, and eventually you're left with dead stems. So the first thing that we need to do is go in there and get out all of those completely dead stems, like this one. Another thing to know, really important whenever working with any fruit bushes or trees, always make sure your tools are sharp and clean. Make sure you clean them going from bush to bush because it's really easy to spread diseases, bacterial, fungal, that kind of thing. But we're just going to get in here now. I'm going to look for all the dead stuff and take that out. I was meant to say as well before I started actually pruning this that this is the wrong time of year to be doing it. Ideally, you want to be doing this at the end of summer, the tail end, into kind of September, October. And I tried to research and find out whether or not doing this in winter would be harmful to the plant. I was deliberately waiting to winter until I started doing this. And interestingly, you can see there is still some foliage on the plants, which, because it's been such a mild winter, makes me think this might be okay. But time will tell. Either way, I wouldn't recommend doing this for your plants. Do it at the end of summer like they recommend. Okay, so I've gone in, taken out all the definitely dead stuff, and it's starting to look a little bit better already, but there's still a lot of work to do. You can see the pile of dead stuff over there. Now, ideally, eventually, what you would have with a bush like this is a V shape. You'd have some canes going off this way and some canes coming off this way. And they would be trailed on these wires, and the ones that are trailed would be the second year growth. So they would be the ones that had the fruit, and then in summer, what you would have it through the middle is the new canes growing up. And then what you can do at the end of summer is you come and take all the ones that you trailed off along the canes and supported, you take them right down to the base, and then all your new growth that is in the middle then replaces that. You then tie that along the canes. Task 2 now, I'm going to come in and get rid of all the stuff that I know had fruit on, because this is going to die off now anyway. I know for sure that a few of these had fruit on, so I could take these off. These ones look like they're first year growth. I think these didn't have any fruit on, and you can kind of tell by the colour at the base. As they age, they become darker and darker. These are still quite green at the base, whereas this one, which I know fruited, completely brown at the bottom. It should be pretty easy for you to tell which ones fruited last year, because more than likely they're going to have all these spurs which are covered in old dead blackberries. So that's what I'm going to do now, go through, take out the second year growth. So there we go, that's step 2 of the pruning done. Step 1, we've taken out all the old dead stuff. Step 2, we've taken out the stuff that's going to die back and we know isn't going to set fruit, so it's useless to us. And now step 3 would be to take all the remaining canes that you know are only 1 year old and train those along your wires for next year and tie them off with a little clip. But I'm not just interested in pruning this back today, I'm also interested in propagation. Okay, so propagation. This is the area where we want the blackberries. Now, fortunately, I'm told that blackberries are very easy to propagate, and there's 4 main ways to do that. Number 1 is kind of leafy stem cuttings, which is the way that you would traditionally propagate most things, taking a cutting, planting it in soil, making sure that you get a root nodule, hormones, etc., etc. That is only really doable in the warmer months. It's not going to be any good this time of year. Number 2 is from root cuttings, and that's really popular, and most of the time if you go to a store or order in your fruit plants, they'll come as a kind of rootstock that you plant. I can't really do that because I've only got 1 plant. I don't want to disturb it and take root cuttings. Number 3 is from suckers and replanting suckers. Now that's probably the easiest way, but the catch is you need to have a plant that is setting out suckers. Now what are suckers? Trees send them out, and there's a really good example here actually of a cherry. This cherry stem here, you can see, is a sucker that's been sent out from that tree behind me. Basically the roots go horizontal and they send out a whole new plant. They basically become an independent plant, and fortunately I didn't realize until just now, but I have found back here there is a blackberry sucker. This is great news. The 4th way, which I'm also going to try out, is called tip layering, and that's essentially when you get one of these stems, a nice healthy looking one. This is once again slightly better in the warmer months, but you can bury this in the ground, you can make a hole for it, and this should form its own plant, similar to the way that strawberries set out runners and that kind of thing. After 4 to 5 weeks you can kind of snip this off, and once again that will be its own plant. So loads of ways to do this. I'm going to try tip layering. There's one back there that's really long, one right in here that's growing into the trees, so I'm going to try and tip layer this into the middle, and then at the back I'm going to dig up this sucker and replant that over here, and I have absolutely no idea whether it will work or not, but this is the kind of stuff I love experimenting with. So let's give it a go. Come on, come on. I'm trying to be as gentle as I can with these, because, I mean, as I'm sure you know, brambles like to get all tangled in together, and when it's growing into this tree, it's very easy to pull it too hard and really damage it. So I'm trying to be as gentle as we can, but look at the size of this. Nearly fell over as per. So for this tip layering, I'm just going to roughly judge where it's going to go. Looks like it'll be comfortable about here, which is almost exactly where I want it. And we're just going to dig a little hole, and then I'm going to enrich it as well with some compost. Okay, so we've got our hole, we've got some compost from the homemade compost pile, and I'm just going to take back these little leaves, and essentially what should happen is each one of these little nodules where the leaves were growing has the opportunity to turn into a new root. And that's probably enough. What I'm going to do, stick it down as deep as I can get it, and then kind of bend it over a little bit to kind of anchor it and then put the compost on. And then I'm just really firming this down to make sure it doesn't pop out. It should be pretty secure now though. And hopefully, it's a little bit colder this time of year, so this is going to grow really slowly. But hopefully within about 2 months, this should have formed quite a nice strong root ball. And then once it's got its root ball, we can come along, snip it up here, and we'll have a whole new blackberry bush. For the next one, I want to replant this sucker that's over here, but first I'm going to take this one out because it's not completely dead, but I saw it do basically nothing all season. If it is still alive, it's not very healthy, and it's going to be very close to where we want to replant the sucker. So there we go, old one out, hole for the new one. Let's try and dig this one out. Okay, so here are our suckers. It's kind of difficult to see, but there's the leaves here and they go back and there's a root back there. But I've just noticed that one has sent out some over here, and there's a really little baby one that I'm hoping will be nice and easy to get up and should regrow really well. So we're going to do this one as a trial. And for now, I'm going to leave this one, prune it back so it's still alive, and then if this one over here fails, I'll try and put this one in later on in the season. So because this one's so small, I'm just going to be really gentle, go around it and try not to damage it at all. Oh look, an apple. I can't lie, this is very stubborn. It does not want to come out. Now unfortunately, that was a lot trickier than I had imagined, and it did break off quite a bit, but hopefully you can see there's a small rootstock here which might just be enough for this one to take off. So we'll just pop it in here with the old soil. Need to dig out a little bit more space. Hopefully this should be good. Just going to get a bit more compost. So we're just starting to lose the light, but I'm pretty happy with what we've got done today. Have absolutely no idea if it's going to work. We've got 2 different methods of propagation: the trailing tips, the layered tips, and the sucker that's been replanted. All that's left for me to do now is to train up the one that we pruned earlier. But if you've enjoyed today's episode, as always, please do drop me a like and subscribe. Hit the bell as well if you want to be notified when I upload a video. And other than that, I'll just say thank you ever so much for watching. It really does mean the world. The channel's been doing really well recently. Loads of interest in that winter clearance episode, so really cool to see. And I'm just being visited by the fox. Thank you ever so much for watching, guys. Hopefully I'll see you again next time.